Good morning. Yes, it's recording, I believe. Anyway, welcome again to this beautiful place. I had a little sign on the door earlier that said, knowledge is learning something every day, but wisdom is letting go of something every day. So I want to ask you, something has drawn you here, something probably greater than your challenges out there in life, something greater than perhaps even your little self that would rather be surfing or doing something else. So I want to ask you to really pause within and ask yourself, what owns you? Or who owns you? What takes away your freedom? What are the things, I'm going to ask you this first, what are the things, or perhaps there's a question that has troubled your mind for years or months, or maybe just this morning it crossed your mind, asking Spirit something such as, what is my purpose, or what is my way, or what am I here to do, or what am I here to be? So go in for a moment and just ask, what is it you most want to have, perhaps the word is answered, or clarified within your being, to where it doesn't come up in question form, but it comes up rather in an understanding. What would you like to learn? Take that to, what would I like to know? What would I like to experience? For knowing is experiencing it. To just go within yourself with that. What would I most like to know? And go to next the second one. Going within, what is it or who is it that I most want to let go of? That thing that runs around in the mind. Should I, shouldn't I? Why did they this? Why did I that? Why didn't I this? Why didn't they that? And be specific. Have a real thing in your mind that you know rattles around. Perhaps, why aren't I witnessing more healings? What do I need to let go of? The beckoning of the ages is to know thyself, or to thine own self be true. And the thing that's left off of that a lot of times is the completion of that sentence. Know thyself, to thine own self be true, for ye shall know God. Ye shall know God aright. People forget that second part, and they're right away, and I've done it many, many years myself, to thine own self be true. Well, what is that self? Well, what is that talking about? And I spent years trying to learn how to be true to the Dulcie self. What does she need? What does she want? What'll make her happy? Yeah. What'll feed, the kid? What'll all of that stuff. But the second sentence is the concentrating sentence. For then ye shall know God aright. But then we hear, I and my Father, or my God, or my Spirit, I and my Spirit are one. So what is all this seeking? What is all this retreating? What is all this begging of God? Come, let me hear you, let me feel you, let me see you, let me, always with the 5 physical sentence. I was mentioning that the other day. Why aren't you here now where I can, we were kidding about Joel, and we were saying something about the presence of Joel. And as soon as I said something like that, I heard this major giggle and laughter, like, well, I'm right here, but you're trying to experiencing, when I said that, it was about experiencing Joel, or the consciousness of the Christ, or the Joel consciousness, the consciousness that speaks to me about God, self, God being, right identity. And right in there, I heard, well, of course, you're using the wrong, if you're wanting to use one of those 5 faculties, that's not where you experience Joel, or Jesus, or the Christ, or the Buddha. Where I experiencing it is in that 6th sense. That other dimension, that's where I experience it. That's what has pulled me here. That's perhaps what has pulled you here, that soul essence. The title that came through for this class was The Journey of the Soul. And what is that journey? That journey home unto the house of my divinity, my creator, my spirit self. And yet, it appears sometimes on day-to-day living as a separation, as a God there and a me here, and God come quickly. Or I remember years ago standing on a corner saying, God, I need you here now. Because I was looking for these physical things to have solutions, answers, and at an ordinary level, at a level to where I would be satisfied. The little I would be getting that which I wanted satisfied. It is not only the most difficult thing to know oneself, but a most inconvenient one too. It's an old Zen saying. Actually, no, this one was not. This was Henry Shaw, and I loved it. It clicked for me. It is not only the most difficult thing to know oneself, but the most inconvenient one. It is inconvenient, isn't it? When it's going against that which I'm craving, that's which I'm wanting, that's which I'm seeking. Very inconvenient when that little thing pops up and wants to go in the other direction. There is really only one direction, and that's within. Within to thy source, within to the spirit. And in that, the outer, it's not just going in. I wished I could have 2 license plates on my car, one that says go within, which it does, but I'd love a second one that said, and then go out, because that spirit is flowing. But I have to go in and cultivate and nurture that sense. And as it goes out, when I open these eyes of this dimension, there it is, God as flowers, God as Sarah, God as retreat, God as peace, God as dogs, God as whatever it is that warms my heart, that makes me be reassured. When a rainbow comes, everyone gets really reassured. Presence, divinity, color, wisdom, everything. All of a sudden, when someone sees a rainbow, and I don't care what atheist sees a rainbow, I get the same response when I'm with, they stop, they pause, the glory of it, the magnificent, something greater than myself manifested that rainbow for me, for you, for all of us, those who can see it. And in that power is reassurance. I'm not running the show. I can take a back seat to driving this life today, to thinking I've got to make the solutions, I've got to make the decisions, I've got to sit up straight and be right and say the right thing. Rainbow, or even the sunset. Nothing did I have personally to do with that sunset. And yet there it is, glorifying God, surprising me, treating me to access to that great power, that great divinity to surrender to lay it down, to just be at peace and oneness with that sunset. And we go within when these things, the flower or a butterfly comes by us, or a hummingbird. One of the students here sat there and had as many as, I believe she said, 7 hummingbirds all around her head as she sat there. Did I create that? Did I think that up with this mind? Or was that an outpicturing of that silence of soul, kissing me, reassuring, comforting, acknowledging, recognizing God, presence, now. There was a question on the table last night, which is going to go right along with this, of what owns you? What takes you away from your kingdom? What takes you away from being present in the now? It's usually something out there that is now decided to come into the mind, and I give manure to it by saying, let me feed this a few minutes. Let me just think about this. But sometimes that stuff just passes by, and the mind goes, isn't that interesting? And by it goes. But once it registers in the mind and sets in, that computer goes off and it starts like the Google. And it goes off to find every bit of piece of information it can possibly find about that thing that passed me by. And then it starts feeding it all to me, and then the thing gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So all my job is to decide what I want that computer to Google up for me. Do I want to Google in God and have it send to me every bit of information? Spirit, source, force, power, creation. On and on and on the words go. Silence. The mind will lay down with the word God. the mind will lay down, for the truth is, there's no words that Google can present to me that is going to represent that deep inner, I'm going to say the word, nothingness. One of the reasons meditation and silence for any length of time is difficult for people is because as you go in, there's nothing there. There is no thing there, and we want things. There's no thing. There's nothing. I remember the first time I experienced it. I even know where it was. It was at a retreat in Three Rivers with Mary Hunt. And we sat for several days silent. And all of a sudden I reached that place and I was like, well, there's nothing here. And it was the most delightful, surrendered experience of knowing that I didn't exist. I, Dulcie, didn't exist. There was just, in that nothingness was presence stronger than I've ever experienced it, because somehow she laid down and allowed the essence of life, the essence of being. We call it, I don't know, I've heard it expressed by maybe teachers or myself, I don't know, but I call it the descension of the dove, where the dove takes place. And this is why I have the vigils on at least one full day, because that experience needs honing to finally lay down the mind, lay down the thoughts, lay down all the tricks and the managing and the manipulating and the mothering and the caretaking. We lay it down. As Job said, I will be silent before thee. And there it is. The kiss of nothingness, yet everything. Right there in that presence. We can taste it. And then when we move from it, we go back to the question last night. How do I get rid of the judgments, the criticisms, the irritations from others or things or the world or the noises, the disruptiveness out there? How do I lay it down? Of course, the best thing is to never pick it up. The minute I recognize it as me wanting anything out there to be different than it is, I'm going to be unpeaceful. I'm going to sense and be in the only sin there is. There's only one sin. And that's, of course, missing the mark. But there's only one, really. Joel was very clear about it. I'm very clear about it. The only time I'm uncomfortable and I'm in missing the mark is when I am in a false sense of separation. I am separate. I have separated myself from divinity, from my God, from my spirit self, and I have separated from you, and I have decided that you need to be different. And I've decided that it needs to be something other. Where is God in it? Why isn't He taking care? Why isn't He making this peaceful? Because then I would see it as peaceful. I don't know that in this human form we will ever not have something irritate us, or somebody where we have an attitude. And when I have that attitude, I see it. Oh, here I go again. I'm not wanting that dog to be barking or shedding, or I'm not wanting that person to be walking through the house right now. It's disrupting my peace. Well, it's only disrupting the mental peace. For when I can lay that down, get that thought out, let it go. And when I say let it go, I mean just stop it. Just stop it. Sometimes I hear myself saying that to people on the phone. Just stop it. And they're taken back. And somehow that word with the mind just kind of goes, oh, wait a minute. You mean I can stop thinking this? Yes, you can stop thinking this. It takes muscle and practice and energy to just stop it. Eventually, these things come and we go, isn't that interesting? And there it goes. Neutral. Right it goes by, right it goes by. Because you know what? I don't like that feeling of separation. And it gets stronger and stronger and stronger that I would rather not feel separate than to feel judgment, anger, irritated, and critical. But I still find myself there. And then I go, oh, there you are again. Okay. God. That word is a miracle word. Just God. It stops the mind, because you see, the mind can't know God. So when I say God, that computer mind, maybe I need to use the word brain. We use the word mind for so many different minds, but let's just say that computer that grasps a hold and Googles that information. You throw God at it, and there's this moment, this chance, this just split second of opportunity to change and get off it. Just if I say God, there's that moment of not knowing what that is. For Joel even says, you will never know God with the mind. And in that moment, I am not separate from spirit. In that moment, I can turn, and as Mrs. Eddy used to say, stand porter at the door of thought, for that is where it gets in, and once it's in, it starts entertaining us, getting us to entertain the thought. I've heard that term, entertain the thought. No, thank you, because it's going to take me further and further away from separation. Something deep inside of you calls you to your oneness. It whispers. It doesn't talk real loud. Sometimes it does. Every now and then I'll get a Zen stick. You're off principle, and it'll come. But most of the time, I have to get quiet. I have to be silent. I have to lay the thinking down and allow that instrument to be open to God's thoughts. I have to be quiet. For it's said that God, and I hate to use any genders here, male, female, because that's not what I'm talking about. But see if you can edit my words. God is a gentleman. He doesn't interrupt. He waits until you have stopped with a period long enough at the end of your sentences that he can give you that moment of peace, that kiss, that silence, that be still. Be still and know that I am God, here, now. Moment by moment. Practice by practice. You know, they're practicing medicine out there. I hear it all the time. Oh, well, they made a mistake, or the hospital's this or that, or they're practicing medicine. Well, we're practicing mysticism. We're practicing mysticism. It is a practice. We catch each other, we catch ourselves. When we're off principle of I and my Father are one, I and spirit, sense, source is one here now, appearing as third dimensional form, appearing as when I asked, it was just a couple days ago, sitting at the table with Lee, and we were having breakfast, and I was looking up because we have some pictures of some of the teachers up there in his dining room, and Joel and Herb and Barbara and Bhagwan and different ones, and I was just kind of kiddingly said, I wish they'd talk louder to us. And right away, I heard, I am not going, this is from, it appeared to be from Joel, I'm not going to lower my vibration to come to you. I need you to continue to lift your vibration to be able to hear me. And then again, there is the divine interventions. When we get so into the swamp, so covered with the mud of the world, that something miraculously lifts us out when we least expect it. And there it is, the kiss, and we're there. But once we're out, unless we keep our hands firmly grasping God, little by little the ooze starts to pull us back in. The ooze of everyone trying their best to convince us of what? They're trying to convince us that they are separate from God. They're trying to convince us that you are separate from God and that you need somebody or something to fix it. But mostly, once you're on this path a while, we realize that they're trying to convince us that they are separate from God and that they might need us to do something about it. And in that is my only job here on earth, to recognize you need me to know the truth about you when you've forgotten. You forgot who you are. And if I've meditated enough or set myself straight on the path in the morning, had enough silence to raise my vibration, I catch it. Oh, I might mumble or jumble about this one or that one, but underneath that and immediately back in there, back behind all the silly nonsense of, well, what did she do that for, and this one did that, and oh, I love stories. You know, I love stories and dramas as much as the next person. Maybe more, I don't know. But behind the story and the drama, there's always that being in me saying, well, right there, where that drama is being played out in front of me for my entertainment and for their entertainment, whether it be good, bad, whether it be loss of work, loss of money, loss of health, wealth, finance, romance, no matter what they are, right there is the recognition. And here's the trick. Only God can recognize God. Only Spirit can recognize Spirit. So my job is to get little Dulcie out of the way and allow Spirit to recognize Spirit for me, through me, as me. Because it just me may be the only God that person can recognize that day would be in a smile, or in a hand helping them up, or in the eyes. When someone comes before you, I like to see people in person when they're, quote, in their separation. I enjoy being present with them physically because looking into the eyes gives the click, because through the eyes is the window of the soul, and my soul can look through my eyes out into your eyes, and the click. You've seen it, you've done it, that click, that moment of recognition, spirit to spirit, soul to soul. A little harder on the phone for the other person to get the click. A little harder, but usually in that breath of let's get quiet. When you just get quiet with me here now, be present, right here together on the phone, presence, dropping into the silence. But it's so fun to be face to face with the person, doing its best to convince you that it's separate. Doing its best, and then they get that click from your eyes, and you see it happen, and boom, you also see them going, no, I don't want to go there, I want to stay in this, I want to stay in this. But if you stay present long enough, boom, they can't resist the deliciousness of God being, even if it's for a moment. To thine own self be true, capital self. Let's be true to that capital self. To thine own self be true, for then ye shall know God aright. There's a sentence, by their fruits ye shall know them. On one of the tapes recently, Joel said, what is the fruitage? Well, ministers and churches and organizations would convince you that the fruits are how many, perhaps, people you helped today. Some of the beliefs are the fruitage is how much financial supply you've been blessed with. Some of the other fruitages would be if I'm having the children I wanted to have, or the things of the outer. The gifts that come from knowing God aright, but we get confused. What is the fruitage? I used to think a teacher's fruitage was by how many people sat at their feet. And then as I saw teachers, students grow less and less and less, I questioned, what is this about? And I have also discovered that some of my highest classes or highest experiences in a little group would be very few people. And I always marveled at that, because I always took the fruitage of someone's teachings or knowings or life by how many people were around them. And Joel said very plainly, you will know their fruits by how much freedom they possess. And back to what I asked you in the beginning, what have you come here to let go of? What owns you? What are you going to let go here and leave here? And what is it you want to experience and learn and come away with? By their fruits you shall know them means by the freedom that you have from people, places, and things. Your fruitage, your individual fruitage, is non-attachment. Your individual fruitage is freedom. It's hard to say freedom and fruitage. Individual fruitage equals freedom, and your freedom is your fruitage. And their freedom. We recognize our freedom and what we're free of and what we're not by what we are reacting to. Joel said this, Mary Baker Eddy says this, most of your Eastern mystics say this. By non-reaction. There's only one place that I can go in this incarnation, this experience here. There's only one place I can be present in non-reaction, and that is from that depth of the soul, of the spirit, of the silence. So when I see, the question actually was, how do I let go of basically any kind of judgment, criticism, that type of thing? How can I let go of it? There's only one place I know I can let go of it, and that's with God, with going within that silence, that soul self, dropping back, no matter what the picture is in front of me, no matter what kind of story you're telling me, or what the audience is doing, or what accident is on the road, or what the news, for God's sakes, turn that stuff off, Hear what's going on and then turn it off. Because if you want to get pulled into the drama and you want to have reaction to what the world is saying is separate from God, watch the news. Watch the whole hour of it. If you want to stay attached and you want to be present with the world, enjoy the drama. If you want to be present with God, here, yes, this casualty, that casualty, there's a fire here, there's an earthquake there. Drop in immediately. Don't go to the stories, the interviews of, how does it feel? I love these interviews. How does it feel to have your husband drop over dead in front of you? Well, now, how do you think it feels? Do I really need to go there and get myself all tangled up in the world's drama? Or can I go, oh, okay, notification, there's a separation, there's a sense of separation going on. Let me go in and correct my vision. Let me go in and correct that no matter what is appearing out there, let me correct it. The Buddha called it illusion. Joel calls it the mirage on the road. Call it hypnotism. Whatever it is, it's a drama being put on out there. And I get convinced that it's real. Interesting that I mentioned that a rainbow came through this morning when the very piece of paper that I wrote up and put back there is printed on rainbow paper. Totally coincidental. Reality defined. Everything out there is telling me it's real. Perhaps in this dimension, perhaps in this vibration. But what atmosphere do I want to live in? Do I want to live in that, or do I want to go back in the atmosphere of God that's convincing me that I'm not separate, they're not separate, none of us are separate unless we want to buy the drama and the movie that's being played out there. I hope everyone picked one of these up if you didn't get one, because I, for a long, long time, was asking about when it was being stated by mystical students, oh, it's not real, honey, it's just not real, it's not reality. And I couldn't quite grasp, well, it sure looks like it's real to me. I cut myself with a knife, I sure looks like it's real to me. And when I finally found this in, it's out of the Master Speaks, the unedited version. I'm just going to read a little bit of it because you can take it and grasp it yourself. But many people misinterpret that word non-reality or unreality, unreal. It's misinterpreted. And so when they say that sin is unreal, now remember, sin being the separation, that can be health, wealth, romance, finance. Usually one of those four. Unreal or disease is unreal. They actually believe that that means it is non-existent. And thereby they ignore it. But it does not mean that sin and disease are non-existent. It means that they are unreal. It does not mean that there is not something appearing as sin or disease, but it means that that appearance has none of the qualities of reality. The word real in this sense, or reality, is not the ordinary dictionary word real. It is a term of philosophy. Reality in this sense means that which is permanent. Talk about clarity. Disease, lack, limitation. Have you ever known it to be permanent? Or does it come and go? Well, that's how it's not real. Only God is real. Only permanence is real. I love this. It clarified my last 30 years of work in verbiage. I knew it in here, but in verbiage, this clarifies it. Only real is only that which is permanent and infinite. That which always has been and always will be. That's where I want to live. That's where I want to believe in reality. That which is permanent. Disease is not permanent. You can make it permanent in the hypnosis of this incarnation only, because if that disease takes you out, boom, you haven't gone anywhere. You drop the carcass, the corpse lays down there, and well, isn't that interesting? But I want to live in eternality, in infinity, in permanence of God, knowing the presence always here now. And then he goes on to say this is of vital importance to us for the reason that the whole world is trying to get rid of sin and disease as if they were realities. Okay, I'm going to go into this now. Does that clarify for you guys? I have to work with this a little more myself. I want to read that over and over till I get very, very clear of the impermanence of that which I'm seeing out there with the 5 physical sentence, and the permanence of that which I know when I go deep in and when I look into my heart and I go down into the heart and into the soul. There's permanence. When this body lays down, I'm going to still have permanence of infinity, of being, of divinity, of what's real. I wanted to say that right then, reality, of what's reality. That's where reality resides. Home, here, now, not out there, not out there. And yet as I come home, and then I elevate, and I stay in that vibration, and I come into the atmosphere of the soul permanence of the infinity. As I look out there comes the flowers, the beauty, the rainbows, the people smiling, the disease laying down before me and being gone. One of the students wrote about spiritual healing, and I thought it was quite good. Spiritual healing means we've chosen to live in infinity. He didn't write this, this is coming now. Spiritual healing is based on a decision that we are going to live in reality, in permanence, in spirit. Why? And then he asked, because disease has no cause. You see, if God didn't cause it, it has no permanence. It has no cause. But how can there be an effect such as disease without a cause? That idea goes against common sense and logic. When thinking about spiritual things, we point to God. We call it, a friend of mine calls it, thinking from the top down. How do we know for sure any of this that I've just said? And how do we know for sure that disease and lack and limitation is illusion? Because, simple, God didn't cause it. So if God didn't cause it, it has to be illusion. How do we heal an illusion? That's what we're healing. We're not healing cancer or broken bones or heart disease or any of the other. We're not healing the bank account. We're not healing whether the job is giving me the right money or if I should go somewhere else. We're not healing my individual sense of lack. It's not what we're healing. We're healing the illusion by knowing that it is an illusion. I know no other way. If there is, please tell me. The R word, recognition. Another R word, reality. Recognizing what's real. And if God, that's all I got to do is look straight at it. If God didn't cause it, it is not real. It may die slowly, and it may die in a moment's notice. The longer I stand on it's not real if God didn't cause it, and how could I possibly worship a God that would cause these negative things? Has to be the mind of the world. The world is the greatest magician. Oh, can they fool you? Oh. And the magic, have you noticed lately that the magic tricks get more and more, harder and harder to see the rabbit in the hat. You know, you've watched them saw the women in half. Have you noticed that there's even a movie out recently about these great magicians that could do all of this interaction. And many of there's some top spiritual people, we've known a few, right? Right, Mitch? We've known a few that could disappear things right in front of your eyes in the third dimensional world. Just boom, it's gone. But then, unfortunately, that person decided to use it as power. Now, here's the thing about power. When I look out there and I admit complete powerlessness to know any different than what that movie is showing me, and I surrender unto God, there's the power. I go in to the only power that I know is permanent. Soul. I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to stand and know that it's going to use me. And I'm going to stand still and be still on that truth of identity, right identity, reality, permanence. That's the reality I want to know. Recognizing if God didn't make it, then it's not permanent. Maybe that's a better term, not permanent, better than real, because it certainly looks real. Certainly looked real when I was laying on the ground with a broken hip and I couldn't get up. That looked pretty real to me. But I went back inside, even though they were picking up the corpse, almost corpse. They were picking up the carcass is a good word. Means, I found out the corpse means flesh, and here it goes. And here they are picking up this body that is not permanent. I go into my permanent body, my soul body, my spirit self. And I watch the body being carried off. You know, there it is. Okay. It'll be mending or it won't. You know, it is what it is in this dimension, but I am that I am. Moses said it first. I am that I am. Thousands of years later, Christ comes back and says, I and my Father are one. The only kingdom is within. So here we go again. Within, within, within. Let's be quiet for a few minutes. Go within. What's real? What's permanent? Be still and know it is I. It was I then with Jesus here. It was I with Moses. It was I with Adam and Eve. It's I now, and it will be I in eternity. You can't get an image of I. So let's spend our day, let's go forth today with the word freedom and see how much freedom you are willing to receive within your being, which is going to require letting go. And as this sign was, knowledge is learning something every day, and wisdom is letting go of something every day. So see how much stuff you can let go of today. If you need to write it, it's a wonderful tool. Highly recommend pen to paper. Write down that which you would like to leave here when you walk off this mountain on Sunday and not pick up when you go back out there. Not like there is a there and a here, because there isn't. But you know, the people you go out there with don't know that. So it's going to be up to you to know that. You're going to have to take your knowing when you go down to your environment, your families. You have to take your knowing. You have to take your freedom. And your fruitage from this retreat is going to be free from teachers, people, parents, children, adult children especially. Oh, the stories I hear of these adult children. Anyway, you know, it's up to us. We're here. We're the ones that our souls brought us to the mountaintop to receive the light of freedom and to practice non-reaction. And it's not easy, but it's doable. So have a blessed day. In this room, we can keep coming in here for silence or try the chapel. I'm going to go up and check on tonight and see if we can use it tonight, but we'll come back in here at 3:30. And if there's any questions from all of that, please write them. There's some pretty colored paper back there. You just turn it over. It's white. Write your questions. Put it up here. It helps in the consciousness of the classwork to come forth that way. And invariably, the material that's being given to me through the weeks ahead of time, that I jot little things down, almost always connects somehow to the questions that appear here. So have a ball.